Face to face, and today it's a very special show for me because I'm going to be the host. I'm going to be the guest, and my friend is going to be the host, and Gabriela Galander is going to be with us doing the show today, and we're going to talk about the book and that just came out, and with about discrimination. It's about racism, and it's about looking our cultures in the mirror. So welcome everyone. Gabby, welcome to Face, and take it from here.
Thank you so much, David Andersson. And yes, thank you, everyone. My name is Gabriella Callender, and I'm happy to host Face to Face and present David Andersson and his book, The White West, To Look in the Mirror. This book is a collection of op-eds published on Pressenza. You can find Pressenza, pressenza.com. Each article looks at a different aspect of the Western dynamic as played against other cultures as seen through current events. David, can you tell us a little bit about this book? And then soon we're going to get into some questions.
So the book, really, we started the book during the little bit at the COVID situation, and then when George Floyd has been killed. I struggled very much with the killing of George Floyd. I was like, I cannot understand how this could happen in today's world, in today's society, and was really and at the same time the COVID pandemic started. The discrimination of the how people were affected was really getting into the community. I live in Queens for many years, and it was a center of people dying by hundreds, and the level of the pandemic was really people with no work, with no job, with no money on the street, losing everything. So really, that's a little bit the background behind the launching of the book and the notion of what I call the White West.
Yes. And I noticed the chapter on, as I read through the book, there's a chapter about Greta. Okay. And it says Greta is back. And I'm thinking of the volcano that just happened in Tonga, which I read was about 10 times the explosion of the bomb in Nagasaki. Can you just say a little bit about how your book addresses Greta and global warming?
So Greta, I have a lot of respect for Greta because it's one of the first white leader in some ways who go attacking her own community, who go targeting her own community and say, we are responsible, we have to change, we have to adapt, we need to look at the science, we need to look at the data. We cannot just go at business as usual. And she's doing it very intelligently, she's doing it very dynamically, she's doing it very engaging the youth to take their part, to take a stand. So I like very much the format you work with.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And now I'd like to bring on Dr. Ernest Biscardi of Clarity Unconcealed. He has read your book and has a question for you. Dr. Ernest Biscardi resides in New York City. He is a behavioral counselor. He has counseled many, many, many people and caused tremendous shifts in their life. And Ernest, I understand you've read David's book and you have a question.
Yeah, and the book was absolutely inspiring, first off. And the question is that in the preface to your book and throughout your entire book, you point to people whose lives have taken place within collective structures and beliefs, and that these collective structures and beliefs were so entrenched in the world they grew up in that they appear to them as reality. Now, as a behavioral counselor, for me, this is the probable root of all behaviors, both useful and detrimental. And unfortunately, these ingrained and conditioned behaviors are never adequately addressed in traditional counseling and in dealing with most issues. And therefore, these issues don't ever properly get addressed, resolved, or transformed. And I just wanted you to comment on that, if you would.
No, totally, and I mean that's what I call the cultures in the large scales, and I think we put too much responsibility on the one-on-one behavior and not enough in today's situation, in today's world. It has not always been like this, but in present moment, and like if we want to take a quick view on overweight. The people overweight in the world the increase go by 200% a year. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. And we ask people one-on-one to go to the gym and lose weight, where it's a social issue. It has to be addressed at the social level, and you need to be part of a cultural transformation. If not, it's never going to go away.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Yeah, because so many times we just deal with the here and now, which helps, but we never get to the root of anything.
Exactly.
Really cause the transformation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because we are 80% of the culture we are born with, and we question very, very little of that culture. It's really and everybody is going to talk about freedom and liberty, but without questioning these own cultures. And so I don't know what freedom they are talking about, because that's the only thing it's freedom is. It's to transform your own limitation of your own culture. If not, I don't know.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And thank you, Dr. Ernest Biscardi. Who I would like to have on now is an educator and a trainer and an advocate for humanity, Mr. Mike Lesser. Mike, please, your question.
Hi.
Mike,
Thanks for having me. Great to meet
thank
you.
you so much, Mike.
I am struck by what you see here, what you see happening in your view, and in specific, if you look out this window here, all the way up and down First Avenue, Second Avenue, we have a high-speed bus lane, an express bus lane. We call it a select bus. And the entirety of this bus lane, all day long, and also during rush hour when people are trying to get to work, is blocked with vehicles owned by delivery companies, and a lot of them are by this man that recently went to space.
Yeah.
And this is the Second Avenue in New York City, right? And I also recently read that in Paris there are public free water fountains that have sparkling water. What am I doing wrong? What could I do that would be actionable to bring this somehow back into balance, or some sort of justice, or less colonialism? Or is there anything I could do to just move one of these trucks?
So I'm not sure I understood the question, but I think we need to study, as a cultural issue, we need to study the issue of violence without touching violence, without understanding how violence works. And then I will say, our culture, everything is based in violence, from the economical system to the political system to the judicial system, to it's all based on violence. And until we look at that violence, and first, and that's, I think that has been the problem with, in some way, with non-violence. It's with violence and seeing as an issue, and from there to accept it and see it as something has to change. And so it's complicated to do the rest. We're going to do a lot of customized painting on the wall, but we are not questioning the structure of the discrimination. We are not questioning the structure of the economical disparity. We are not questioning the structure of the injustice of the justice system. I mean, none of that is touched into. So I don't know if I'm answering your question, but yes, we can end up with truck on the street and sparkling water, but we are not addressing the issues of education and health and food for everybody and everyone on this planet.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for your question, Mike Lesser. And thanks for being with us today to ask that question. David, you spoke about and you opened up talking about you started this book because you were devastated over hearing what happened to George Floyd, as all of us were. I was devastated to hear what happened to Amadou Diallo, Sean Penn, and Emmett Till, right? What is it about the George Floyd case that sparked something that perhaps the Sean Bell case didn't, or the Amadou Diallo case didn't?
I'm not sure if the John Floyd case specifically was at something beside the fact that it was really horrible, and the media aspect of it was also very powerful too. But in my case, I was. It was an epidemic. We were all in very difficult and special conditions at the personal level and at the social level. The whole structure of the society was really into questions, and I think it was a time to really, and I hope everybody was able to really question their own life. And I think a lot of people question their own life. And I think you have like 10 million people who quit their job in the last 3 or 4 months in the US. So I think a lot of people are questioning the system today, and they are all the right to do so, because this system cannot be maintained. It cannot go forward. It cannot move forward. It cannot expand. And it's really a good moment to see what we need, what we really need, what is our society need to achieve, and what do we need to achieve in our own life.
Thank you for that. Folks, we're here again today with David Andersson on Face to Face, which is really a show that David Andersson created, and I get to be the host and interview him. His book is The White West. Where can people get this book?
So I'm a grand surprise. It's everywhere, more or less.
Yay!
Because so the distributor, I saw it in some bookstore in California, but mainly on Amazon you can find it. And if not, you can hack your bookstore to order it for you. They will do it, and you're gonna get it in 2 days. It's really it's a very efficient. And so, yes.
Well, here it is. And I definitely encourage everyone to please go and get The White West, A Look in the Mirror. Let me just make sure it's okay. A Look in the Mirror by David Andersson. Okay. Illustrations by Raphael Edwards, prologue by Peter Geffen. I want to thank you so much, David Andersson, for writing this book, for being on the show today. Is there anyone out there in the audience who has any questions? You can actually put it in the chat, and we'll take a couple of more questions if there are some.
So just Tony got the book from in London. So you see, we can you can order it everywhere.
Wonderful, wonderful. And we're looking for questions here in the chat. Does anyone else have any other questions? If not, I want to open the floor again to Ernest and Dr. Ernest Biscardi and Mr. Mike Lesser. Are there any other questions that you have before we wrap it up?
Well, I'm still I'm very interested in what might be actionable regarding being immersed in a violent-based colonial culture. What would be actionable to subvert that?
So a little bit what I was mentioning a little bit before. I think first step is to recognize then we have an issue with violence, because without that notion we cannot start even to do a peace process in some ways, who has been done in many other countries in the world, and where we can map out all the difficulty faced by all the community in the US, and in other places, and try to address them at the right level with the right depth. So that's really, but until we go to that stage, it's going to be very complicated to see the discrimination. I mean, we try with the police to transform the police to reforms, to so on and so forth. It didn't stop the Floyd situation. It's 30 years we are into. I mean, if the civil rights movement was really, really, really a powerful movement with very, very smart people doing unbelievable action for so many years, and transform so profoundly the society. But still, the notion of discrimination, the pure the essence of it was not touched. So I think we need to really deep into who are we, what do we want to be, and where do we want to go? What is our notion of the future? The whole China, Russia, everything in the world today, it's all the conflict are based on that cultural situation. And I will argue again, we all want to have them at the political level, but they are not political issues. Trump is not a political candidate. He was a cultural candidate who has been elected against Obama. So it's really, things have to be put at the right place and be presented in the right way. And if not, we are never going to be able to move forward really to, and we might going to be end up destroying ourselves. So here it's a question of adaptation and direction to the future.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
So what I'm hearing you say, David, really is for each of us to kind of take up our own mission and however we see fit to do what it is that we can do, to move something forward for humanity, that it's really about self-reflection first. Am I hearing that right?
Yes. Sincerely, we believe that we have the best culture in the world, and we have the best city in the world, and we have the best country in the world, and we have the best, we are the best of everything. So from that point of view, we cannot share knowledge. I mean, Costa Rica transforms their ecological situation. They started 70 years ago. They produce 200% of renewable energy today. We are not at 20%. We have people in this country we're going to do electrical car. They have no idea where the electricity is going to come from. And no one tells them, okay, guys, you cannot do electrical car until we move the electricity from oil and coal to a renewable energy. We will need to use all the military expenses to transform the production of energy in this country. If we don't produce another type of energy, we are done. We cannot move forward. We see what happened in California. We see what happened in Texas. We see what happened. We cannot move forward if we don't transform the electrical production in the US. And the military expenses have to be targeted to that direction. That's what Costa Rica did, and that's what they are doing. I mean, now you go to Costa Rica for biological diversity tourism. You don't go for Costa Rica to go to the beach. You go to see the animals and the diversity of nature. So really, we are missing an opportunity of the lifetime.
So that was David Andersson on his book.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much.
The White West, A Look in the Mirror. I want to thank you all who came out today. Again, please go and buy The White West, A Look in the Mirror. Send your review in. Let us know what you think about it. And look out in the future for Dr. Ernest Biscardi on Face to Face. And a big thank you again to Mr. Mike Lesser. And thank you also very much for joining Face to Face.